Hi everybody, I'm Michaela. I'm here at the Nelson Community Food Center in our big beautiful kitchen. I'm not wearing a mask. I don't wear a mask for these videos just to make it a little bit clearer for our audience. We typically are always wearing masks here in the food center, and I just want to let you know that my cameraman's on the other side of the room here. And here we are today making some yummy cookies for the upcoming holiday season. We're preparing for festive food days here, and let's get started. So today we're going to be making a cranberry chocolate chip blondie bar. So I'm sure you're all familiar with brownies. Blondies are brownies, but they're blonde. So chewy like a brownie, yummy, a little crunchy on the outside. These ones are going to have chocolate chips and cranberries in them. So we're going to start right away with a half a cup of butter melted. You can melt that on your stovetop or in your microwave. Make sure you cover whatever you're microwaving it in with a little plastic wrap or something like that, or a saucer, just because butter tends to get everywhere when it's melting. And if you're doing it on the stovetop, you don't want to melt it for too long or at too high of a temperature because it will burn. So just keep an eye on that. I melted this for about 40 seconds, perfectly melted here, and then I let it cool because you don't want it to be piping hot, because next we're going to add eggs, and if you add eggs to burning hot butter, it'll start cooking the eggs, and that's not really what we're trying to accomplish here. So I've got my butter melted and warm, but not piping hot, and I'm just getting that all into my large mixing bowl here. And next we're going to be adding one egg. So I crack them on the side of the counter. Maybe your mom does it on the side of the cookie bowl, or some people do it one-handed, kind of tap into it. That's a little too advanced for me. I just go for the old side of the counter. I'm going to switch over to the whisk and do exactly that. I'm just whisking it all up. So we got some nice kind of thick yellow butter egg thing happening here. And next we're going to be adding 1 cup of brown sugar, packed. Boop, that goes in. And whisking. Sometimes brown sugar, it's one of those things that's a little bit moist, and when it gets exposed to the air, when it's opened out of the bag, it can get a little clumpy. So make sure you just get all those clumps out. I just use my my whisk and really dig into them. So I'm whisking away. And next we're going to be adding 1 tablespoon of vanilla to give these guys their beautiful blondie flavor. Here we go. Glug, 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 glug. Tap, tap, tap. And half a teaspoon of cinnamon, which I pretty much put into everything these days. All right. Beautiful. I'm gonna re-lid these so I don't end up with cinnamon and vanilla everywhere, although things could smell worse. All right, so really mixing to combine. And I like to use my spatula again at this point just to get everything down on the sides. You can see that there's just some bits of sugar and vanilla and cinnamon that spray up to the sides, so you want to just make sure you get those guys all in there nicely, and whisk again. Lovely. Okay, so now we're kind of done with our whisk because we're going to move on to the next part of it, which is going to be adding the flour. And we're going to want something a little harder than the metal whisk. So I'm going to add the cup of flour here. Perfect. And here we go. So I forgot to mention this at the beginning, guys, but before you start all of this, you want to get your stove, your oven, preheating to 350 degrees. I've already got mine preheating. Your recipe card is going to remind you of that, so I'm hoping that you've already gotten to that point before you get to this point of this video, because it generally takes a little while for the oven to get up to the right temperature. So I'm mixing, I'm getting most of that flour in, tapping it down off the sides here. Beautiful. Okay, that's looking good. All right, so our final ingredients. We're going to be adding 3/4 of a cup of dried cranberries, which are called craisins. I was going to say that. Dried craisins or cranberries, and some chocolate chips, 3/4 of a cup. So I've got those guys measured out in my bowl here, and I'm just going to fold them in. What is folding, you say? Folding something into a recipe. You're sort of lifting from underneath and bringing it over the top again. And holy smokes, these are gonna be good. They're gonna be real craisiny and real chocolate chippy. All right. Okay, I'm thinking that that's looking pretty good. It's thick, it's clumpy, it's delicious. All right, beautiful. So we're gonna go into our greased 8x8 pan. So I just use a little bit of cooking spray for this, but you could use a little bit of butter on a piece of paper towel. Spread that all around. If you don't have extra butter, even though you're getting some in your baking bags, you could just use a little bit of whatever oil you have around the house. Coconut oil, canola oil. Just make sure you get it really nice and greased, because there's nothing more disappointing than having your cake or your brownies or your blondies stick to your pan. So we are going to do this fun part of getting it all into the pan. Oh my gosh, the vanilla smells so good. All right. So this part is a little funky because I find that it can get a little messy. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of water, 1 second. This is a grandma trick. So you have a bowl of water here. If you put a bit of water on your hands, it's not going to let the batter stick to your hands. So I'm gonna go like that. Get this all off of here. Spatula that off my finger. So spatula is good, and I'm gonna wet my hands. You'll still get a little bit on you, but this is gonna let you spread it out without absolutely covering your hands in dough. And that's a pretty funny little noise it's making. All right. May have gotten a little too much water in there, but it's not gonna be the end of the world. You're just gonna try to get that nice and even. That way it will cook evenly. Beautiful. All right, so we've got our blondies in the pan. We're gonna stick them in the oven, and we're gonna set the timer for, the recipe says they're gonna take 24 to 26 minutes to bake. I'm gonna set the timer for 20 minutes. I always like to do that when I'm baking, just set the timer a little bit before the recipe tells you to, because ovens are weird and baking is weird, and I mean, it should all pan out the way it says it's supposed to, but that's just not the way life works. So I like to set the timer for, we're gonna say 20 minutes, and we'll check on them then. Okay, I'll see you in a minute, guys. I'm back with some blondies. I just popped these guys out of the oven, and they're looking pretty good. So I checked them at 20 minutes. I felt like they needed a little bit longer. Went for 24 minutes in the long run, but I think it's a good idea just to check. Your oven might run hot or it might run cold. You want to insert a toothpick or a fork or something like that into the blondies when you pull them out of the oven, and if it comes out clean, then you're good. A couple crumbs on there is okay, but if it's wet, you'll be able to tell that the batter is still wet and uncooked inside, but mine are looking good. These guys, you're going to want to let them cool for a little while. I know it's going to be really hard to resist, but it'll be worth it. You won't burn the roof of your mouth, and they'll set a little bit more. They'll firm up in their shape. So yeah, 24 minutes I think is perfect. It's going to be gooey on the inside. That's my favorite part of like a brownie or a blondie, is sort of a crispy edge and a gooey inside. If you look at the edges here, you can see they're pretty browned up. So I think they're going to be perfect. We just want to say thank you for watching, and a big thank you to Matt and Simon from the Wood-Gundy CIBC Nelson branch, because they helped us make this Baker's Bag happen, and that means everybody gets to have more blondies. So thank you, Simon and Matt. happy holidays, seasonal greetings from us all here at the Nelson Community Food Center. Thank you so much for watching and for baking and for cooking. And we will see you guys in the new year with some fun cooking videos.